question to all three of you. So when you actually, so there is a lot of experimentation involved, and you go with your gut feel, okay, and then you use whatever experience you've got, but not necessarily all experiences
So
that
gut
you.
feel is
And
gut feel is not, it
yeah, we
doesn't work.
don't
We
use
can't
that.
afford gut feel.
Yeah,
So we may have gut feel in terms of liking, disliking something, but we usually don't have the
we
time
don't.
or the budget to be able
Yeah,
to just purely work on gut feel. So gut feel helps us say, okay, do I start to think about this problem and approach this problem? But solutioning is driven by budgets that are available and whether it, in our view, it makes sense, it's exciting
It's
enough or not.
aligning or
yeah.
not.
Lot of
Yes.
we look at a lot of other factors. Gut feel is one of the last things that I depend on. Yeah, but it
Gut feel
is.
gets the attention,
Yeah,
but after
correct.
that, decision is not. We can't
Mm.
afford that.
In fact, one of the ways by which you can address this is typically when we get a person in for the company, right? You cannot afford to get a medium level person or a low level person and then expect them to perform. So typically, how it can be done is you put the strategy, keep the strategy at your level because you know the best what the company needs and how much fund is there in the company, right? And get someone to execute that in the plan. So it means you need executioners in all divisions. I mean, right from sales and marketing to technology. I would categorize that five different sections: sales and marketing for sure, technology for sure, and operations for sure. And technology and operations combinedly get the delivery done, and sales and marketing gets the business in. This is a core function of any company for that matter. Then comes the two subsidiary thing, which is not less than the other primary ones, which is HR and finance. And finance being finance, every, like how you said, right, sales has to be function of an founder, finance also has to be a function of the founder. You can never ever, I've had multiple instances where my auditing has been like, I'm talking about CAs who are doing it, who has actually done a messy job. When you go into the details and figure out like where they have put assets, what they have categorized as asset, they have categorized as liability. Like, you end up adding liability to your organization just because you didn't know what finance is, and that could have been asset for you, right? Simple mistakes, but it can really define the company's balance sheet a lot. So finance and sales has to be founders function, no matter whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter, right? Operations and technology has to be insourced. You cannot afford to outsource a technology because it's no more your technology. If you outsource it, after some time you don't know what code they have written and you can't even transfer it. Okay, so it has to be in house. Operations to some extent you can outsource because that's all about processes and relationships and stuff like that. You can always mold it around. HR definitely you can outsource. You don't need an HR for until you become 100 and all. You don't need, because statutory, it's all statutory and you can somehow manage it if you have a robust process. And I would much rather go for an HR system managed by a good HR. So 80% of the process gets resolved with the system. 20% you can actually get this person to execute because and afford to take a medium to senior level person to start with. I would never go for a medium or low level person, because then what happens is the founder ends up doing what the other person was supposed to do, and you complicate the system so much you don't know where you're actually missing out. You end up losing your sleep on small nitty-gritties which should have been done by that person. So I would say categorize your whole set of things, strategy keep it with you, plan of action give it to executioners, get it executed.
So as in, I wanted to come again. So when, well, on the fractional part, why I believe is that, I believe that when you have an expert, it kind of reduces the time to, for you to succeed, because you are taking that person's expertise and putting it in action, right? So let's say, for example, let's cut the money part out. A CMO who is, running an organization at a very friendly level. Then if you have a marketing plan, you usually run it by the friend, right? Is this good or not? Because there is no money involved. There's only, he's just going to give you
Suggestion.
his 2 cents on what your plan is. So that is what I believe, most of the functions. So when I believe, like, sales is one function, marketing and HR, when I look at it, right? Marketing, HR, and technology, these three functions, if you might be from one of these functions. As a founder, you might be from
In
technology,
yes.
or you might be from sales, or you might be from HR, whatever function you are. The other functions you may not although you use first principles for most of the thinking, but first principle thinking, you go ahead and that's a hypothesis you test, and then if there is a negative result, then you course correct it. So don't you think taking the advice of an expert kind of reduces our runway to success? What do you think about it?
Reduces runway, reduces
Reduces your runway to success, as in your time to success.
oh, time to success.
Runway, not in terms of the
No, but
financial
that's
thing.
something which we said, right? I mean, we all have our own network. We'll usually, if something we don't understand, we'll dip into some of our, advisors or some of our friends who come from that space to say, does. But that's obviously you can't go for every single problem. So problems
Right.
that are important enough, you would take two or three people's point of view
Hmm.
further within the organization also and outside the organization, and that's completely normal, and that's something which we do.